Alrighty, guys. Good morning to you all here. Happy Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. It is the official last day of April. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. And we have a significant day here again, once again, for severe weather today. The possibility for some strong tornadoes down here into northern Texas. We've also got an isolated into scattered tornado risk up here in portions of the Ohio Valley today. I'm going to make this video pretty quick for you guys because we've already got watches that are out now that just got issued this morning for a ongoing severe weather threat this morning down into Texas and Oklahoma. So basically what's going to happen here is we're going to be live this afternoon here, really this morning through this afternoon, covering these storms. If you're watching this video later on, we're probably already live streaming. We're going to be on for majority of the day today, covering both the Ohio Valley and the deep south down here into the southern plains, where the threat for strong tornadoes, damaging winds, and large hail will all be on the table. There's a little bit of a question mode on what's going to happen down here in northern Texas today. If this line of storms continues to maintain its intensity, we may not see any discrete supercells at all, and therefore just see a damaging wind threat. So that conditional significant tornado risk is there. Dallas, Fort Worth, into southern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, you guys are in that significant tornado risk for today. We'll talk about that here in just a second. Overall today, across the board this morning, we've got showers and thunderstorms ongoing, a complex of storms that moved through Oklahoma last night, ongoing through Illinois. This is basically lifting a warm front up that's going to allow for these supercells to fire off through eastern Missouri, central Illinois, southern Indiana, western and central Kentucky later on this afternoon here. And any of these, if they become surface-based, can have the chance to produce an isolated tornado, damaging winds, and some hail there. So we're going to have to watch out for there up in the Ohio Valley. It's also very conditional up there. If any storms can latch onto the warm front, we will have that potential threat. Back down here in Texas and Oklahoma, like I said, a little bit more of a confidential threat here. We know that we're going to get severe weather down here. Like I said, the tornado threat a little bit uncertain just due to this line of storms ongoing. So like I said, we'll talk about that here in a second, but overall across the board here, majority of the United States, other than the central plains, the southern plains, and the Ohio Valley, pretty decent here. We also have a little marginal risk for severe weather back over here into northern, eastern North Carolina, eastern Richmond there over in Virginia. That's going to be for wind and hail as well. But other than that, most of the United States, the Northeast today should relatively be pretty quiet. So we'll go ahead and dive into the forecast that we've got ongoing here for you guys for today. Here, we'll get the day one outlook put up here. The Storm Prediction Center does have a marginal risk, like I said, back up here in the southeastern portions of Virginia, northeast North Carolina. A huge marginal risk basically covers the central, the southern plains here, and all the way up into the Ohio Valley, where we'll have the threat for damaging winds, a couple of tornadoes, even a strong tornado can't be ruled out down here into Texas and southern Oklahoma, and then the threat for some damaging winds. Level 2 slight risk in the yellow. This includes St. Louis, Missouri, back through central Illinois and southern and southwestern portions of Indiana. We've also got a level 2 slight risk back here into Texas, southern and central Oklahoma, western and central Arkansas, and northwestern Louisiana, and a huge, or not a huge, but a small level 3 enhanced risk here for the Dallas-Fort Worth area for the threat for a couple of strong tornadoes. Now, I do want to mention there was a tornado watch that was just issued. I'll get to that here in a second. The Dallas-Fort Worth area is not in that tornado watch. It's due to confidence and there may not being any potential for strong tornadoes. So that adjusted risk zone, when this update comes out in about an hour and a half, we might get an updated risk zone on this. So just be mindful of that there. Nevertheless, be severe weather where if you're in risk zones, regardless of what the models are suggesting here. So tornado risk for today, we've got two different areas. As I mentioned, conditional 2 and 5% tornado risk up here into the Ohio Valley. I myself am in that there here in western Kentucky. So just be mindful of that. If you're up here in the Ohio Valley, we'll be tracking storms for you guys up there. We've also got a pretty big 2%, 5% here that goes into southern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma, basically western and central and eastern Texas, northwestern portions of Louisiana, and pretty much all of Arkansas under the gun for an isolated tornado risk today. We do have a small 10% hatch tornado risk. I mentioned this here a second ago. This is for the threat for EF2 plus tornadoes. If any storms can become semi-discrete or discrete or maybe line embedded, we will have the threat for EF2 plus tornadoes. It's a very short window today. It's not going to be all day long that we're going to have this. So we're going to have to watch this very, very closely this afternoon. So once again, the Dallas-Fort Worth area is in that significant hatch tornado risk. If you don't think tornadoes can't happen in Dallas, you're absolutely wrong on that. So Arlington, Plano, Garland, basically the whole metro area under the gun there. We've got 7 million people in that significant hatch tornado risk there. Some storms may fire, some storms may not. It's a very conditional risk though, but it can happen. So just be mindful of that. We've also got a damaging wind threat today, 30% wind threat there in the red shaded area. We've got a 15% in the yellow for both the Ohio Valley and the southern plains here, and a 5% there in the maroon. That is for winds up to 80 miles per hour there. We've also got a hatched hail risk back down here into the southern plains as well. Later on this afternoon, hail up to 3+ inches in diameter will be possible. We saw 5-inch diameter hail yesterday in the southern plains here in Texas, so wouldn't rule out that happening again today if any storms can become discrete. Outside of that there, we have a slight risk for hail up here into the Ohio Valley, slight risk outside the hatch there for Lubbock, Texas, back into Fort Sill, and a 5% in the maroon for hail up to 1 to 2 inches in diameter. I'll get to the timing on what we're going to see here in just a second. I'm going to run over the next two risk zones here We've got another huge risk zone for tomorrow. This should be our last big day for severe weather, at least for the next couple of days here before we get into next week. We'll talk about that here in a second. We've got a huge marginal risk for severe weather that basically goes from outside of Detroit, Michigan, back up here into Oklahoma City, and then back down into Texas. We're going to have a huge surface low that's going to be in place. We're going to have a cold front trailing down with this. There's just going to be a lot of buoyancy in the atmosphere, instability. Dew points will be pretty decent, and some shear to allow for some damaging winds and a tornado threat. Now, we've got a level 2 slight risk here that extends from San Antonio, Texas, all the way up here to basically Buffalo, New York. Marginal risk outside of that there. So level 1, level 2 risk for tomorrow. Tornado risk tomorrow is very confined. We've got Western Kentucky, Southern Illinois, Eastern Illinois here, Southern Indiana, portions of Western and Central Tennessee, including the Nashville, Memphis area, Jackson area there, all the way down to Northwestern Mississippi and Eastern Arkansas. So it's a very conditional tornado risk once again tomorrow, but there will be the threat for isolated tornadoes. I myself am also in that for tomorrow, so we'll be watching out here as well. We'll have a damaging wind threat and a hail threat that covers majority of the risk zone here. Wind threat at 15 and 5%, and a hail threat at 5%, and a small 15% hatched hail threat down here for Austin and Waco for hail up to maybe 2+ inches in diameter. So after that, though, guys, we get into the day 3 forecast. We've got another small little marginal risk for Friday here into southern Oklahoma here and back into central Texas. This is a level 1 risk out of 5. Damaging winds and some small hail will be possible with this risk zone outside of that general thunderstorm sweeping the country. And then we get to the day 4 through 8 outlook. And right now, the Storm Prediction Center does not have anything on the day 4 through 8 outlook, but they have mentioned the conversation about talking about the threat for some severe weather going into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. So we're going to have to watch that. We'll probably get Saturday and Sunday off, hopefully, for some significant severe weather, and then we'll go back into this again early next week. I do want to mention briefly here, there was a tornado watch that was issued here this morning for Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Here, this watch here, this is out until 5 p.m. Central Time this afternoon. At Dallas, you are not included in that. Just because you're not in that watch doesn't mean you're not going to see severe weather. You do have some damaging wind potential to the left side of you here coming in later on this afternoon, so we'll continue to watch, monitor trends for that. Southeastern Oklahoma here, McAllister down into western and central portions of Arkansas here, Texarkana, Hot Springs, Fort Smith in that, and then northeastern portions of Texas, including Tyler, Longview, New Boston, Texarkana there. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. This is going to be a significant tornado watch. Could see the threat for a couple intense tornadoes with this watch, some large hail and some damaging winds here. So we'll be keeping you guys updated on that. Like I said, there will be a live stream after this video is posted, so just keep mindful of that. Let's kind of walk through the nutshell today on what's going to happen with our model runs, and this is kind of what's ongoing this morning. A little bit of a messy mode of complex this morning. These storms have not quite really maintained intensity towards severe criteria yet, so we're going to have to watch this, but the models do have this intensifying pretty quickly this afternoon here, right around the lunchtime hours, starting to see those little slinkies, those lines, in those black hodograph lines in there, not hodograph, but those black helicity tracks in there, basically meaning updraft rotation embedded within this line of storms. And I mentioned earlier, if any storms can stay prefrontal here and get in front of this line and become semi-discrete, we will have the threat for a strong tornado. As of right now, things just do not look that impressive in terms of that right now. We'll just kind of keep an update on that. Doesn't mean that can't happen. Just right now doesn't look too impressive as it did last night or yesterday. But nevertheless, that line of storms is going to intensify. QLCS tornadoes are going to be possible throughout the day here. Most of the mode up here into southern Missouri, this should be just heavy rainfall. There will be a conditional damaging wind and a hail threat, small isolated tornado risk up there, but I'm not too certain on that northern mode up there. We'll just have to watch things unfold this afternoon. There will start to be discrete storms that fire off after this afternoon here along that secondary cold front boundary that we're going to have in place here as well for western Texas, but nevertheless here, damaging winds will continue through much of the afternoon. We'll continue to see storms fire off down here into southern Texas as well, seeing the threat for damaging winds and an isolated tornado threat. We'll see some more storms that are going to fire off again later on this afternoon and evening, back into western Oklahoma, central Oklahoma again. Most of those should be on the sub-severe side, and then by this afternoon through 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have this line of thunderstorms, mostly sub-severe, moving through central northern Louisiana and southeast Texas. So I do want to mention as well, the tornado parameters today are pretty decent. Like I said, if anything becomes surface-based or semi-discrete or discrete, we'll have the threat for a couple of tornadoes, and that's really going to be through about dinner time this afternoon, and then that tornado threat will start to decrease pretty rapidly for down here in Texas, Oklahoma, and portions of western Arkansas. So very short window today for tornado potential. A little bit of an issue in terms of the mode that we're in, so we'll have to, like I said, see if that unfolds or not. I do want to mention as well, we do have a 2% and a 5% tornado risk back up here into the Ohio Valley again, and this is going to be through about 1 o'clock to about 6 p.m. this afternoon. There will be a corridor here where we could see a couple of isolated tornadoes, some damaging winds here. We're going to have a pretty decent amount of instability. You can see right now, not a lot of instability, but that warm front is going to lift to the north here. You can see that boundary lifting there, and as the afternoon goes, we will see daytime heating here. We'll see the threat for a couple of isolated tornadoes, some damaging winds, and some large hail later on this afternoon and before that system officially moves out there. Here's an idea of the reflectivity. Reflectivity is not showing up a lot, and a lot of times when you get these warm fronts that lift like this, you don't really see a lot of reflectivity show up on the model, so we will see a couple of scattered thunderstorms this afternoon develop. A couple of these could become surface-based, allowing for the potential here for a couple of isolated tornadoes. Really damaging winds and hail are going to be the priority threat with this, though. So we'll keep you guys updated on that there. Here's an overall run of our GFS run, just giving us an idea of what's going to happen through the next couple of days. Here's our surface level low. Our shortwave trough is moving here, giving us a pretty decent southwesterly pull flow here along the southern plains and into the Arklatex later on today and tomorrow. We'll see that trough moves east here into the Ohio Valley for Thursday. There's going to be another little shortwave trough or upper level trough that's going to move down here from Canada through on Friday and Saturday. This could bring a low end severe weather threat. We've already got one issued for Texas and Oklahoma. I wouldn't be shocked to see a hail and a wind threat set up across the Ohio Valley and the Midwest on Friday, but that would be very, very conditional if that does happen. Shortwave trough moving down here, and then we get a little bit of a break on Saturday and Sunday, and I want you guys to see on the left side of the screen, both the European and the GFS model are having a little bit of a struggle with holding on to this, but if this does in fact eject into the southern and central plains on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, we could see a pretty potent, once again, severe weather setup again going into early to mid next week, and it looks like that troughing is going to hang around for a couple days going into Wednesday, possibly even going into Thursday and Friday. So we might honestly have severe weather once again Monday through Friday of next week before eventually at some point we're going to have a ridge try and take over here. We're going to have to watch the models going through the first to second week of May. Tomorrow is May 1st for anybody that does not know, and just kind of see what happens. But then it looks like we're going to potentially get active again going into the second and third week of May. So I expect the month of May to be pretty active in terms of severe weather once again, as we've seen for the month of April. Here's kind of an idea of what we're going to see precip-wise going through the next couple of days here. Showers and thunderstorms, severe weather across the southern plains here, the Ohio Valley and the Arkansas, the Mississippi River Valley going through about Thursday into Friday there. Showers and thunderstorms moving into the southeast again on Saturday there. And then after that, a little bit of uncertainty on Sunday there. And then we get into Monday and Tuesday, and it looks like we're going to start to see some damaging winds, some hail, just some storms trying to ride the Texas Panhandle, eastern New Mexico line again. So that'll be going into next week. It doesn't look like anything super organized. We're also going to have to watch here. I do want to mention this just briefly. We had a model run yesterday, the 18Z GFS by exact, show a tropical storm going into Louisiana. There's probably some people out there that are posting that stuff, so just be mindful, guys. Hurricanes and tropical storms can form before June 1st. That's the official start of hurricane season. That was a fantasy run yesterday. We haven't had any model runs show that since yesterday afternoon, so that is a good thing. But we are going to have to start to watch some of these low pressure systems that are closer to home that do kind of lag off of cold fronts off the coastline of like the East Coast here, the southern portions of the Gulf here. So just something we have to watch going into the month of May. You can get early season development. The water temperatures here are actually quite favorable for hurricanes and tropical storm development early in the season, but we'll just have to keep you guys updated. Not saying we're going to see anything now, but currently right now we're just going to have to kind of keep our eyes mindful that that can happen. So any of those coastal lows that can develop there. But other than that, guys, we'll be in live severe weather coverage mode here in just a little bit. I do appreciate y'all for watching this. If you guys, as always, will like the video, leave a comment if you guys have one, and we will see you guys in the next one. Be safe, guys.